Okay. Okay. So thank you, and welcome everybody to our webinar, Photonics in Security and Defense. All, of course, in this context of the Dutch-French innovation mission that we started. And yeah, this innovation mission. Let's start just with a brief overview why it came to about, because photonics is, of course, an essential technology for the digital transformation and the green transition of Europe. And I think that France and the Netherlands both play an important role in this. And we both want to learn, of course, from each other, and we look for common benefits and technical challenges so that we both can stay front runner in the coming years on the field of photonics. And of course, in all these societal challenges that it's important for. So the initiators of this innovation mission are the Dutch Enterprise Agency and our government, and the Enterprise Europe Network that you all know probably, and these three important entities when it comes to the Netherlands and photonics, whereas Photonics NL, where I'm the director of, we are the Dutch Association of Photonics in the Netherlands, and our partners are Photon Delta and Dutch Optic Center, which are, Photon Delta is the gateway, the ecosystem of integrated photonics, and Dutch Optic Center is an initiative by TNO and TU Delft. And together we all have, I think, a really good connection in the Netherlands when it comes to photonics. Same as France, we have a large history in photonics, and this all resulted in just an example here on this slide with all kinds of institutes, research institutes, small and innovative SMEs, but also really big internationals. So this is really to give an example of that. When it comes to the French clusters, we found that we have 6 clusters that we would really like to connect to in this coming year. Some of them we know a little bit better already, like for instance, OPTITEC with Ziga Varic. I know him for a few years now, but also Photonics Bretagne and Photonics France. But there's also some clusters that we really like to get to know a little bit better. So yeah, with these 6 entities, we hope to have a really good innovation mission this coming year. To support this a little bit more, we have a digital innovation platform. And during this coming year, we ask people in these webinars, but also in different, maybe face-to-face meetings again, to sign up as a participant on this platform. Maybe on the marketplace, write something about your company or institute, what you're doing, what you're looking for, etc. And in this way, we can probably build a big digital platform as well that can support this innovation mission. Just in the starting phase of this mission, we see that we have now 2 webinars. Today is the second webinar, actually. We had one in September. This one was on photonics for agri-food with Photonics Bretagne. Today we look, of course, at photonics in security and defense. And in November, for example, we visit Paris, where we physically meet the 6 French clusters. And we go with this Dutch delegation of clusters where we can all present to each other what our strengths are, maybe what our challenges are, what we are looking for, etc. And from there on, we hope to build many more interesting workshops with you together, or maybe company visits on various application fields for photonics, etc. So fast forward to today. After me and Ziga, we have a few presentations like you see here. Without mentioning all of them, I would just like, I think it's good to just start. And I think we might ask Alessandra to do her presentation as one of the first in the Dutch line, because she's at the moment in Greece, in Athens. And yeah, we hope she can make her flight after that, of course. So that's a good way. Zika, can I give you a few words now for the welcome? And yeah.
Yes, thank you, Ron. So it's a real pleasure to see that basically what we've discussed with Ron, and as Ron said, we've known each other for since a couple of years now. We've also worked together on European projects, so Photonics NL and OPTITEC, and now I'm happy to see that we're basically our discussions after the project are becoming more concrete, and we're organizing these kinds of activities for our members. Because after all, we are there, basically, we exist because we want to help, to support our members. So as you explained, you organized a webinar on agriculture with Photonics Bretagne. I would say this is, each webinar is kind of a specialty of French clusters. OPTITEC was historically very much present in the field of security and defense. That's an area that's today in Europe has dedicated funds, as for example, European Defence Fund. There will be more and more interest for companies, SMEs to collaborate together from different European countries. We also have, we were encouraged by our national authorities, so the Direction Générale d'Armement, so national French armaments, the general direction, they encourage us to collaborate and look at possible collaboration opportunities with partners. So that's why we're here today. That's the first step. And as we discussed with Ron, we envisage a delegation of Dutch companies coming to France to visit us, if possible, of course, if the situation will allow it, somewhere I would say in the second half of 2022. So that would be a concrete continuation of what we're doing today. So I'm, as I said, very much. I'm very happy to see quite some participants and to start working on these bilateral actions with Ron.
Oh, great, thank you, Siggo. Yes, so you already mentioned briefly the European Defence Funds. I think that's a good bridge to the first speaker, Boy Daché. The stage is yours, Boy.
Yes, thank you. So let me share my screen. So is it visible for everyone?
Yes, full screen, perfect.
So my name is Boy Daché. I'm an advisor on the European Defence Fund on the Netherlands Enterprise Agency, and I will give a short presentation about the European Defence Fund and especially on how to find your way. Well, it will be really short, so I have about 5 minutes, and in these 5 minutes I will tell you shortly about the European Defence Fund, some opportunities that the European Defence Fund will give, how to participate and support we will give, and I will end with events and contact information. So first, the European Defence Fund, well, it was created to contribute to the strategic autonomy of the European Union, and especially to improve the European defence industry, support research and development, support collaboration throughout Europe, and they want to create synergies with other programs and dual use, synergies with civil technology and dual use. And they have a special emphasis on promoting SMEs in the program because they want to position them in the European defense industry. Well, the funding, it's about 8 billion between 2021 and 2027. And the themes are, well, they're decided by the member states each year of which are of most interest. So the opportunities, well, there are financial and non-financial opportunities. So first, research projects are fully and directly funded. And development projects are funded, but co-finance is not fully funded, but co-finance is possible. And furthermore, usually the projects that are in the European Defence Fund, they are on the long term, they're long projects. So if you have a contract and you have a partner, you usually have a long-term contract. Non-financial, you will get a network in Europe, you will find new partners in new industries. There will be many cross-border opportunities, and since it's a new program, there are new opportunities as well. And there will be positioning of these within these new cross-border opportunities. So related to photonics, I think there are two calls that are really interesting, but of course, when you look into the working program, you can see that it's interesting for a lot more calls at this time. But I think the open call is really interesting because it's just dedicated for SMEs and where any innovative defense product solution or technology can be used. So if you have a good idea, you can apply. But also research for disruptive technologies for defense applications is very interesting because they're looking for non-line of sight optical sensor applications, which is also directly interesting for a lot of your companies. I would suggest to look up the working program and see if anything fits your company. And if you have questions, ask us to help. Okay, how to participate and the support we can give you. So how to participate? Well, first look into your own network because first-hand experience is always best to get into the program. Second, look to the website of the European Commission, the funding and tenders page. You can find all the information, documents, and working program over there. Third, join events or matchmaking events, because you will get to see all the people that are working currently in there, and yeah, opportunity to network with people that are working on the same technology. And last, yeah, contact the NEDV, which is the Dutch industry company, or the FVO, so that us or French counterparts or the Enterprise Europe network, yeah, if you have a question or if you want help with contacting someone. Okay, so what can you expect from us? We can help you with connecting with international potential partners, or we can help you connect with defense, or with linking with possible consortium that are already in place. We can give financial or juridical advice. We can answer all questions you have, or connect you with the right person that can answer your question. And of course, we will share information and we organize events. So continuing to the events, we have a couple of events planned. Well, first on the 27th of October, we have an Edf Information Day, where we will share practical information about the European Defence Fund. We give workshops, practical workshops, and you can ask all questions to participants, and there's the opportunity to network, which will take place in Utrecht in the Jaarbeurs. Furthermore, we have innovation missions. We have one planned to the France and Netherlands, but it's still to be dated when it will take place. But if you're interested, please contact us, and we'll keep you informed. And there's the NEDV exhibition, Defense and Security, on the 18th of November, which is a big conference on defense industry. So this was my short presentation. So if you have any questions, please feel free to contact me or my colleague. My contact information will be shared afterwards. So yeah, if you have any questions, contact me and I will help you further. And I hope you have a nice day. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Boy. Yes, that's a really nice overview. And my colleague Petra already mentioned your email address in the chat, I see. And so if there's any questions, you can directly contact Boy with that. And Zika, I can give you the floor again and your presentation.
Yes, thank you. I would just compliment what Mr. Dacier just said. So on the French side, of course, you can always, for the French participants, you can always contact me regarding the European Defence Fund. I would say compared to the Horizon 2020 projects, it's a little bit different, not just a little bit, but it's more, I would say, legally binding. So basically you have a lot of requirements to respect, so don't hesitate to contact me. I know that some of the French participants have previous experience. There were actions like the PADR and the EDIDP programs. So this exists, and also, as I said, the DGA, Direction Générale d'Armement, we have contacts there if you have any questions. Do not hesitate. You can reach out to me, and then we'll hand this forward. And also, don't hesitate using the platform that you presented, Ron. I think that's a good matchmaking tool as well, besides everything else that exists.
Yes.
So yeah,
exactly.
just to complement the presentation. And again, that's a new fund. The European Commission, when I started in Brussels in 2014, they didn't want to hear about funding defense projects. Now this change, there's quite a lot of money, 8 billion, as Mr. Dacier said. So I think, and there is a special SME dedicated cause. So don't hesitate, to look into it. To be very transparent, these are not the easiest projects to set up, but we have members in OPTITEC that won them. I mean, the EDIDP projects. So the experience is there, and this shows that it's feasible.
Yes, great, perfect. Yeah.
So I can also continue with a short presentation. I'll just share my screen. Sorry, and you let me know if you can see it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Full screen.
Yeah. So you can see the presentation, right?
Yeah. Still, well, it's in a PDF form.
It's in the PDF form, exactly.
Yeah, we see it.
So basically, this was, as I said, the European Commission. I think around 2016 realized that a lot of activities that are done in the civilian sectors can be of use to the defense, and vice versa. So they started considering funding dual-use activities. And this is the project. This is a direct result of this. I'll present it a little bit later. So then it was basically followed, as I said, with the preparatory action on defense research and with the program EDIDP, which today turned into European Defence Fund. So this is an action basically that was funded by the European Commission. It's a European project. It's a support and coordination action for clusters, basically, which is coordinated by OPTITEC. And which is called European Key Enabling Technologies for Dual Use, shortly EUCATS for Dual Use. So we have a consortium of 5 partners today. There was a phase 1 where SAFE cluster was not participating. Unfortunately, Photonics NL is not a partner this time, but still, as you will see, this project and the actions will be open to all European SMEs, not only to the members of the consortium. So basically in the consortium, as I said, coordinated by us, OPTITEC, we have 2 other French clusters, Mineralogique, which is a cluster in dealing with photonics as well, also with micro and nano technologies and software in the Auvergne-Rhône-Alpes, and SAFE cluster, which is, I would say, cluster in the field of aeronautics, defense, and space, so an end user cluster, which is based in our region, Provence-Alpes-Côte d'Azur. On the European partner side, we have Sensec, which is a Danish defense, space, and security cluster, and Estonian Defense Industry Association, which has a dedicated cluster as well. So it's quite a small consortium, but I think it's a good one. It functions well. So basically, just if I move on, as I said, the rationale behind the project and the funding that the European Commission gave us was basically that the lines between the civil and defense sectors are becoming blurred and less clear cut than they were, I would say, 10 years ago. So basically, they wanted to use the technologies with a civilian origin in the military sector. So this is the gray area, which we call dual-use products, and I think our speakers will touch upon that a little bit later. So basically, a lot of these dual-use technologies, and again, I've seen that, for example, Thierry and Anne from Symmetry, who and a couple of other members from OPTITEC who are there. So basically, these small and medium enterprises, which are representing the majority of industry in Europe, produce a lot of dual-use products. So basically, the rationale behind this project is to help these SMEs to export to the markets outside the European Union. So basically, there are 2 projects that were funded. Besides ours, there was also a project on smart textile. And so the scope of our project, we had to narrow it down, because otherwise, if we would address all the dual-use domain, that would be just too much, and the budget was not enough to cover everything. So basically, we focused on key enabling technologies. What are the key enabling technologies? You see them here in bold. So basically, photonics, we chose those because these are the expertise of the I would say, technology clusters, OPTITEC and Mineralogique participating. So one is, so these key enabling technologies are photonics, micro nano technologies, artificial intelligence, and cybersecurity. So there, as I said, there was a phase 1 where we focused more on photonics, micro nano technologies, and in phase 2 we'll be focusing also, in addition to these 2, on AI and cybersecurity, because this really became, I would say, flagship technologies also for the European Commission. So I see that the number is missing here, but collectively the clusters all have, I would say, more than 750 SMEs, which are in the field of dual use. Of course, not all of them will be involved in the project. And as I said, this will be open to other SMEs as well. So very simply put, what's the objective? The objective is, for us, is basically to act as a springboard for European dual-use companies, which have the ambition to integrate global value chains, which is not an easy task, and also basically to form sustainable business partnerships. And I guess now you're asking, where is this happening? So we chose 3 target countries, and you can see them here in bold as well. Canada, the United Arab Emirates, and Singapore. So there was a phase 1 of the project where we basically visited those countries to check in person to see if a basis for a future collaboration exists. We, in addition to these 3, we also visited the United States as a biggest defense market in phase 1, but we figured out it's just too big, and with our funds and basically the structures that we have are not big enough. So we chose the 3 countries, and we had really good contacts at the varying levels, of course, but we found good contacts, and we confirmed the potential for collaboration. So in phase 2, basically, to put it simply, we'll organize delegation of European dual-use SMEs from September 2022 onwards. Hopefully that the situation will allow it. You can already travel to the United Arab Emirates. Traveling to Canada is a little bit more difficult, but it's opening up. And Singapore still, it's, I would say, hermetically closed. So unfortunately, this, I think, will be the last mission. But basically, this will be one of the core activities of the project. But we'll also have, before that, we'll also have working groups, which will address basically business models on procurement, as well as on European funds, so European Defense Fund, but also Horizon Europe with the security part, which offers great opportunities. And then we'll also have basically working groups on cybersecurity and artificial intelligence to showcase how SMEs can use those two technologies to basically reinforce their business models, etc. So more information will follow. This was just a quick preview. This is you have more information here on all of the partners. This is a project's profile from phase 1. Phase 2 will be created soon, and we'll of course keep you posted. So I'll stop here, and I'll be happy to answer any questions if you might have. Otherwise, you'll have my contact details, so you can reach out to me whenever you want.
Yes, thank you very much, Siga. Are there any questions in the audience at the moment? You can write them in the chat, or feel free to ask them here.
If there are none, you can always follow up with an email or give me a direct call, or send for the Dutch participants, send a question to Ron, etc. But in any case, as I said, when this will, so basically we kicked off phase 2 in September, just the 16th of September. So now we're putting things operationally in place. And once this will be, basically it will be operationally ready, we'll let you know. So this, as I said, it's funded by European funds. So it's open to all European SMEs in the dual use domain, or even if you're not in the dual use domain, but just interested in this, you can always follow our activities.
Perfect, Siga. Yeah, sounds good, really good. And if there's any questions, type them later in the chat, always possible, or at the end of the plenary discussion. And yeah, okay. Then we'd like to go to our first speaker then from the companies, and that's Alessandra in this case, because she has a special location where she's calling in from. Alessandra, are you there with us?
Yes, I hope you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you. Very good.
Yeah, it's a bit noisy because I'm at an airport, and I hope that you can hear me well.
Yes,
I don't have a lot of time, but I think that a 20-minute presentation I will manage to do now.
Okay,
so
perfect.
You have the presentation. Unfortunately, I'm trying to save energy and bandwidth, etc. So yes. I turned off my video, so I hope you don't mind.
No problem. I will share your presentation for you.
Thank you. Okay, well, here is a brief presentation. I summarized it as much as possible about Nedinsco. We are a company which exists, well, actually established 100 years ago in 1921 by Carl Zeiss. And this year we celebrate the 100-year existence of Nedinsco. Nedinsco is a small medium enterprise, 100% Dutch, and have about 120 full-time employees. The company from the beginning has been based in a city called Venlo. As you can see in the triangle, we specialize in optical, mechanical, and electronic solutions, which we all have in-house. And we are combining these expertises, which truly represent the power of Nedinsco, because we have a big capability in-house. And everyone who is looking at the presentation now, at the same time, is also kindly invited to come over to Venlo. We can give you a very nice facility tour of our production line, assembly lines, R&D and engineering, clean room, etc. Could I have the next slide, please?
Yes, here it goes.
Okay. Well, again, reconfirming the specialization of Nedinsco in development and manufacturing of optomechatronical systems. So we do also have software in-house. However, we are interested to talk to also the French industry to see whether we can have a cooperation basis where our technology would meet a certain software capabilities or artificial intelligence and machine learning capabilities, which can be combined with the technology of Nedinsco for the vision systems, the camera technology, etc. So what we have indeed is also one of our strong points, the strong in-house.
I don't hear anymore. Zika, do you hear anything?
I think we've lost her, unfortunately.
I think so.
Yeah, I think we've lost Alessandra.
That's unfortunate.
The Greek network is not reliable.
No, she got cut off probably. Okay. She's still in here, but Alessandra, we don't hear you anymore. That's unfortunate.
I guess she'll reconnect at some point, but
at a certain point, yes. Shall we otherwise continue then with the first French speaker? Is that a good idea?
We can continue maybe with the French speaker, and then if Alessandra comes back, we hopefully give her after the end of the presentation of the first French speaker, we give her the floor if she's still there.
If possible, yes. Okay. Let's try to do that. So that will be Charles, is that correct, Zika?
Yes, so that's Mr. Charles Bazin from Bertin Technologies. So just so he's here. Hello, Charles.
Hello, Charles. Hello.
So I will share my screen. Hello, everyone.
Just if I may make a small introduction. So Bertin Technologies is a French mid-cap, very much present in defense, but not only. And I think Charles will explain it in a detail just in a moment. But it's a very active member of OPTITEC. We've worked on different topics together. Also very much present, you can see, in space, but also in our other domains. So very happy to have Charles here, and I give him the floor.
Thanks a lot. So let's get down to it. So as Zika introduced, we are an intermediate-sized companies considered as a mid-cap in the European language, which means we have some bonuses in the European defense funds. We are about 450 employees. With nearly 100 million euros in turnovers, with a pretty good effort on R&D internal and external R&D to support our activities. We are present in France, in Europe, with several other offices and factories. And also we have a good export network. So what we do, we have 5 main activities. So from the left to the right, we are a supplier of nuclear and radio protection equipment for nuclear power generation companies, but also for militaries. We also have some life science equipments for laboratories and bio-related research. Some of them actually have some photonics function in it to determine the nature of the cells you are looking at. In the middle, you can see that we also work in hospital waste management, which has been quite handy during this crisis. In the defense and security field, we are a CBRN equipment provider because you have seen we do nuclear equipment, we do life science equipment, and we also do chemical equipment. So we are one of the major suppliers of this kind of equipments for the French MOD and for other MODs in Europe. We are undertaking EDIDP project on that. So we know how does it work. On the rest of defense, I will go down more precisely on it, but it's mainly optronics and untitled ground sensors. And on space and big science, I will also dig deeper on that. So to give very concrete and very clear example of what we are doing in defense related to optronics, we are present on 2 new armored vehicles on French forces. We collaborate with Nexter on the driver vision cameras for the Jaguar reconnaissance vehicle. These cameras have the particularity to be on very low latency, so the driver can fully pilot his armored vehicles up to 80 kilometers with his lights off. And on the second image, you can see also an armored vehicle on which we provide a long-range vision function for this kind of vehicles. The third image is a development program ongoing with the French DGA that is aiming to improve self-protection and self-awareness of armored vehicles. And we collaborate into this with most of large French companies. And on the Navy side, we collaborate with Naval Group on their new small intermediate side frigates, and on the new supply ships. We do asymmetric set surveillance system that is able to see up to a certain distance threats such as small boats, UAVs, etc. To continue on defense, how we've built all this kind of project, it's because we have a full range of optronic applications. We can provide OEM products such as infrared cameras and visible cameras with high-end specifications to other companies that can integrate it into their applications. If we can also integrate ourselves these OEM cameras into products, such as our unveiled site, which is called the Fusion site, because we have image treatment technologies that enable us to fuse infrared and visible image, provides the best of both worlds, and it can be done in a very lightweight device. Then we can pass on to system of product, which means we connect product to each other's, and we are able like that to provide situation awareness systems for land vehicles and for Navy ships and for critical sites to be protected. And then and last, we can do full ion functions such as long-range observation I've just talked about. And the interesting part of this is that this three and four, so these four kind of offers can refund themselves, because through high demanding projects, we have developed new technological bricks that we can offer through OEM or through products. And that's how we built a full innovation cycle on defense applications. Passing to space and beam instrumentation, we are a high-performance optical system provider. We go all from the design, manufacturing, and supply phase. We have 6 ranges on it. We provide components and embedded instrumentation, plasma diagnosis, spectrograph, optical ground support equipment, components for synchrotrons, and slicers. I will go on more precisely on each one with some examples. And this wouldn't be possible with some design and manufacturing capabilities we have in the south of France, in Aix-en-Provence. We have an existing site with a lot of development projects on it to extend its industrial capability with, I think, very rare capabilities in Europe and worldwide more generally. And we collaborate with many large European or American companies on very large and complex projects. But I will give you some example. For example, on onboard instrumentation components, we are present on the Martian robots, which is already on Mars, on the SPERCAM camera, which is an instrument to determine the nature of the soil. We have made a very complicated and precise mirror that is able to withstand the Martian conditions. On optical ground support equipment, we test and calibrate instrumentation for satellites. And we have worked on some constellations such as OneWeb, or some more scientific equipment such as Taranis, which is a satellite that would have been able to better understand storms, but sadly this satellite exploded at the launch. And to finish on big science projects, we are an expert on plasma diagnosis, and we can find some plasma in very high-end and demanding instrumentation. Of course, ITER, which is a fusion reactor experiment, also in the south of France, and on the laser megajoule, which is an inertial confinement fusion experiment, where we have to monitor the very tiny targets that the lasers are putting in a fusion state, which is a very demanding job. And on the bottom, you can see synchrotrons. In fact, we are displaying some equipment for them and X-ray mirrors. And on that, we have some challenges, and we are quite advanced in it to provide very smooth mirrors for this kind of application that needs a very deep precisions. So that's it. Just a two small comments on what I've heard before. So as I said, we are engaged into EDIDP project on the Spearmint field, but we also work on EDF projects. We have several ongoing project building for this year, and we look forward to collaborate with Dutch partners, especially on space defense applications for the next years. And we have some good contact with the French MOD and other major partners in Europe, so we can collaborate on that. And as for the dual use products, many of our defense products are dual use because it's infrared cameras. So it's not a problem for internal European export and supply. And it's on this product, we have an advantage is that our infrared technologies are not ITAR regulated, which means we can be more independent at a European scale. So that's it. You have my email, so please feel free to contact me for any other detail. Thank you.
Thank you, Charles. Are there any questions from the audience? If there aren't any questions, I would have a question. If it's not confidential, do you have any ongoing collaboration with the Dutch partners? Is this a market of interest to you? How do you see it?
Yes, we have a strong interest in it. We have some collaborations in the Siberian field with the TNO because it's a very important player in that field, but not yet on Photonics. So we look forward to build some. Yeah, that's an answer.
Okay, and I would have an additional question about the EDIDP project.
Yeah.
I presume you participate as a partner, not as a coordinator.
Yes, we definitely are more focused on being a partner because to be a coordinator, it's very, very demanding, and an intermediate-sized companies is not able to do the full administrative work.
Yeah, I agree. And one last question from my side, because I think this is interesting for the participants. Were you approached, who is the coordinator of the EDIDP project that you're in?
It's the Austrian Institute of Technology.
Okay. Were you approached by them, or did you reach out to them? Or
in fact, we reached out to them in a European B2B conference and matchmaking. So I think it's a very good opportunity to have this kind of platforms to have some talks with the partners and to present activities, and it generates some opportunities. Yes.
Okay.
And now, because we have done some work with them, we will do some work later on with them. So it's a long-term relationship we can build.
Good. That's always a pleasure to hear this, because I that's always my argument. Work on European projects, maybe even if the funding is not, I would say, very important, it allows you to generate business leads.
Yes.
And so you confirm it. Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions?
Not in the chat at the moment.
Okay, well, you have the contacts of Charles in the email. You can always write if you have a question during the webinar. Otherwise, you can reach out to him later, and probably also on the platform. So yeah, thank you again for your presentation.
Thank you. Yeah.
And Ron, I give the floor to you.
Ziga, yes, thank you. We saw in the email that Alessandra Liberto would like to try it again. So Alessandra, if you're still there, we can pick it up where you left. You were talking about, I think, the cooperation need on software, etc. from the Dinsco side, and then you left the presentation.
Yeah, unfortunately, something went wrong here. The internet connection is not that stable. So should it happen again, then please continue, because then I don't have time anymore to finish it, as I have to catch the flight. So let's go to slide number 6.
Number 6. Okay.
Yeah.
Where is that? Is that here? I don't see the numbers.
Let me see.
One more.
The next one. Yeah. So okay, these are the Nedinsco markets: defense, semicon, and industrial. We also do some activity in space, but for now I'd like to focus on the defense part, just to clearly give you a survey on the core business we do for defense. So the next slide, please. The high-end cameras, direct view solutions, sensor platforms, and bore sites. Those are the this is the offering Nedinsco has for particularly land and sea systems. We also have some activity for in aviation, but we are looking into this right now and developing that. So the next slide, please. So these are several positions we have on the armored vehicles. Those include backup site systems. If you just click ahead, Ron, maybe it shows the positions. If all goes well, yeah, exactly. So we have the periscopes, bore site systems, and electrical optical targeting systems, high-end camera solutions, and backup site systems. Especially the backup site systems are of interest to several armies. Because if all power falls out, if you have a real power outage, you are quite helpless sitting in an armored vehicle. And the backup site system is a non-powered system which allows you to still look around you, increasing safety and situational awareness around the vehicle when no other means are available. So then let's move to the next slide. And we also have capabilities in the marine area, and we have partnerships with, amongst others, Hensoldt, where we build part of the periscopes. And the next slide will show some references there as well. Yeah, so Indonesia, Egypt, Turkey, South Korea, and Singapore, just to mention a few. And of course, we are doing capacity building now into this direction, and are further developing our solutions and cooperation basis for these high-tech periscope assemblies and systems. And the next slide will show you our ship surveillance system capability, where we also are part of a cooperation in Europe, and where we have delivered several solutions now, and which we are also further developing. I have a couple of next slides which I will show you just on for information basis, and this one is we have this capability for it's a metrology instrument for controlling the position of a central laser beam. And the next slide, please. The energy sector, we also offer capabilities in this area. And finally, we have also industrial capabilities, and which I show you very briefly in the next slide, where we also have, I did not elaborate on that into this presentation as we wanted to keep it as brief as possible. But if you have any question on those, you can always contact me or my colleagues. So our main interest in partnerships and cooperation is with regards to artificial intelligence, software development, software as a service, for example. We are also involved in the European Development Fund, where we are partnering with the Dutch defense and several other countries now. So we are preparing, we are contributing to that whilst proposals are prepared for submittal in December. Other than that, at this moment, I have not too much to add to the party. And I'm sorry that I cannot further attend this meeting as I have that flight to catch, but I do hope that the presentations will be available after the meeting so that we can review those in the office and get in touch with those speakers today and contact you perhaps if there are any further questions from our side. So my apology for this brief, incomplete presentation and for the interruption. And I wish you a very good continuation of this webinar.
Okay, thank you very much, Alessandra. I think it was really clear now with the audio, so that's good.
Well, that's great. At least something.
Yes. And we would love to share the slides, of course, when it is possible. And Petra already mentioned your email address in the chat. So I think we are all set. Perfect. Yes.
Okay, then I can start running now.
We wish you a safe flight.
Okay, thank you very much. Bye-bye, everyone.
Have a safe flight, Alessandro.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yes, indeed. Okay, that was yeah. That's also Zoom technology, of course, these days.
We adapt. We adapt. We are flexible.
Yes.
We're flexible.
Yes. So I think then that was Alessandra then from the Dutch side, and I think we have the next French speaker then, Ziga.
Okay, sure. So I think I saw Loïc among the participants. Is he still there?
Good afternoon, Ziga.
Good afternoon. So he's here. So we had the example of Bertin technology, which is a mid-cap, and now we have Loïc from Exavision. So Exavision is based near Nîmes in the Occitanie region. So for the Dutch participants, Occitanie region, I would say the capital, if you might say so, is Toulouse, but Nîmes is very much, I would say, a center of civil security. I would say especially the firefighting planes are there, and Exavision has quite some technologies which are interesting, also for detecting fire, etc. But I'll let the floor to Loïc. He'll explain you better. So Loïc, floor is yours.
Thanks, Ziga. So can you see the slides?
Yes, but you're not in the full screen mode.
Okay. Is it better?
Yeah, now it's perfect.
Okay, that's perfect. So good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Loïc, working for Exavision as the business development manager, mainly for defense application. So regarding Exavision, our main job is to work on the design, the production, and the qualification of complex optronic solutions. A few words about Exavision. So our activity has started in 1990, so roughly more than 30 years right now. At the early beginning of the activity, we were focused on the supply of specific cameras for nuclear application, meaning that we were supplying very, very specific hardware configuration with cameras in order to go directly into nuclear power plant. That means that at the beginning, we had decided to work in what we call extreme environment, meaning that we have a lot of qualification for quite important range of temperature, EMC, high pressure, radiation, etc., etc. So this was this was the beginning of our activity. Of course, the nuclear activity is not growing a lot. So years by years, we have decided to work also on other topics, mainly for defense and homeland security application. So we are a 100% French small and medium company. So as Ziga said, we are located in Nîmes, not far from Marseille, south of France. And our business model is to work as rank 2 or rank 3 supplier, meaning that we are working as suppliers or contractor with quite big companies, system integration companies. Regarding our markets, we are currently working on 3 main markets: defense, homeland security, and industry. Of course, for the presentation, I will focus on defense and homeland security application. And if you are looking about the logo of all our customers, it's an illustration, an example about what I've seen a little bit earlier about the fact that our business model is to work directly with system integrator. We are not working a lot directly with the end user. So regarding our activities, so all the team is located in the same space in Nîmes area, and we are working on the design, what we call the mechatronic design. So we have already some definitions thanks to Alexandra. So mechatronics meaning the mix of mechanics, optronics, electronic and software. So all the design of our equipment are made directly by ourselves. We are also working on specific development for both hardware and software configuration. We are internally a manufacturing process, mainly for prototype and small series, and then we outsource mechanical fabrication, mechanical manufacturing with mainly French supplier. That's really important for us to work with French partner in order to reduce risk about quality, lead time, export restriction, etc., etc. And then, of course, we are working on integration, test, qualification, and technical assistance to the customers. So regarding defense, our solutions are mainly dedicated to observation and surveillance applications, meaning detection, recognition, and identification. This is most of our application, and we have also a specific product range dedicated on targeting system, mainly for remote weapon stations. So I will give you some example a little bit later. For Homeland Security, this is roughly the same philosophy, observation, surveillance. Of course, the application is a little bit different, but for us, we try to work on similar hardware, similar algorithm in order to improve the volume and, of course, reduce price and improve the quality and the production of our equipment. So a few information about our product and solution. First of all, we are manufacturing standalone cameras for many applications. So our product range are mainly dedicated on visible, so full HD day camera with very low light sensor that are very important for us in order to work on long range identification either by night. We also have a range of thermal camera with both uncooled and cooled thermal camera. So our goal is to work on 24/7 application. And for these infrared cameras, we have decided to work only with the French thermal sensor manufacturer, which is called Linred. This is a mix between former Software and Ulysse. So this is one of the European leaders in the supply of thermal and now also low light cameras. And thanks to this partnership, we don't have any issue with export restriction due to third countries. That means that we are only dependent of the French government regulation for mainly dual-use products for homeland security and for some defense application, and of course military products, mainly for targeting systems. So thanks to this range of standalone camera, we can also supply global solution with a complete and modular product range called Nemosis. In fact, Nemosis is a combination of pan-and-tilt turrets, day camera, and infrared camera in order to work on many applications. We can supply products from short-range application up to medium and long-range application, meaning that between roughly 1 kilometer and more than 20 kilometers for NATO target recognition. So this product range is very modular, meaning that we are also supplier of standalone camera. I explained it a few minutes ago. We can very fastly change some cameras in order to adapt our solution to customer technical requirements and of course customer budget. So it's really important for us, as we are a small company, to be flexible, reactive to customer requirements in order to supply the best quality and competitivity solution regarding this application. So for Nemosis product range, the main application are sensitive site protection, and critical infrastructure surveillance. For example, we are working a lot on airport protection, border control, land border, but also maritime surveillance, and some very, very critical sites such as nuclear plants, hydraulic dam, etc., etc. An example about a specific application with Nemesis. In fact, the philosophy for counter UAV application and other application, I talked about maritime surveillance, sensitive site protection, etc., etc. In fact, we are supplying one brick or technical hardware integrated on a complete solution. For example, for counter UAV application, we are mainly focused on recognition, identification, and tracking. So we are integrated in a global solution with specific detection, thanks to radar technology or drone detection, for example, radio frequency drone detection, and of course, threat neutralization. And in fact, as we are supplying the part focused on optronics, we are working on total integration with customer C2 with all the other sensor and effectors in order to supply a complete solution. Regarding counter UAV application, we are involved in many projects, mainly for 7 years now. For an example is the fact that we are supplying of the solution protecting Paris Charles de Gaulle Airport regarding drones. We are also involved in many projects abroad in Europe and Middle East. And very, very recently, we have been selected in a European project dedicated on counter UAV application. This is a huge consortium, 35 partners, and the leader is Leonardo in Italy. And for that part, we are involved in the workshop with Thales Group and the French lab Onewa in France in order to work on specific algorithm for real-time identification and classification. For us, the hardware will be always Nemesis, and we are day by day improving the capabilities of the equipment to offer to the system operator, to the system integrator, with a real-time automatic system. So standalone cameras and Nemesis were mainly used for fixed infrastructure. We also have a specific range dedicated or middle range observation and surveillance, for mainly land and naval application. We are not involved in the airborne application. So we have some specific standalone thermal camera dedicated on middle range application, meaning NATO target recognition at 3 km with Tor product on the left and 5 km with Tor LRG product on the right. So the goal is to be integrated directly into the weapon station, into the vehicle, in order to bring video, infrared video, meaning that 24/7 information for weapon station. So we are, for example, working a lot with a French company called Nexter, and we are supplier of the thermal camera for the new 8x8 Caesar howitzer, the 155mm howitzer, and the first main project were dedicated to the Danish army, where some equipment was supplied. So that configuration is specifically for thermal camera. We have also other design with both thermal camera, but also visible camera and laser rangefinder. So this is all in one mechanical housing, integrating all the sensor, of course, absolutely qualified to checks, vibration, EMC, SATS, etc., all the military standard. And we are right now supplying for more than 15 years Nexter system on 2 main programs. The first one is for land application on a weapon station called RX-20. and the second one for naval application on the 20mm guns called Naval. So this is a long-term partnership with them, a very, very successful partnership. And it's, of course, very, very interesting for us to continue our partnership with the French system manufacturer, but also to open partnership with European companies, for example, Dutch companies, of course. We have also an activity dedicated on retrofit. In fact, as I told you, as our company is quite a small one, meaning reactive, flexible, it's quite easy for us to work on refit activities. In general, for land and naval, surface naval platform, lifetime is roughly 30 or 40 years. But unfortunately, regarding the equipment, in general, we have to work on refit at 50% of the lifetime, around 15 or 20 years. So we are involved in a lot on this kind of activity, meaning that we are using the same sensor, the same optics than our own design, our own product, and we are working on specific integration, meaning that adaptation of interface, mechanical interface, software interface, and electrical interface to supply fit-form-function solution to the customer. That means that Exavision take in charge all modification to be absolutely compliant with existing equipment. That's really, really important in order to be competitive on the global project, of course. And it's also very, very interesting because we can work quite quickly on this kind of application, and we can also use different already qualified and fit-proven solution. We have another one, product range, mostly dedicated to naval surveillance. So the philosophy is exactly the same, using the same wicks, meaning the same sensors and same optics, by working in a specific integration. So for naval electronic solution, of course, the main difference with land application is about the fact that we are supplying a two-axis mechanically stabilized platform, of course, in order to compensate ship motions. And we have also dedicated on two main range with a product range called CMOS. The first one is directly linked to the other program I described a few minutes ago. And you can see this is the same NATO target recognition. So this is what we call CMOS middle range application, mainly for patrols, vessel, OPV, for middle range application. And we have a new solution called CMOS MS5T with higher range, 5 kilometer recognition, still working on uncooled thermal camera, meaning competitive solution and no maintenance. That is absolutely important for us, meaning that the possession costs are very, very affordable, and we are working on that design mainly for small frigates. So this is the end of my presentation. I have tried to be quite short to respect time, to respect the planning. Of course, if you have any question, if you need any complementary information, you have all my contact details, so please be free to contact me.
Thank you very much, Loic. One would think that we're in Germany, we're so on time. We're a French cluster, just to make it sure. Are there any questions for Loic?
Yes, this is John Wijnen from Photonics, Netherlands. You hear me?
Yeah,
we hear you, yes.
Thank you very much, Loic. My question, where do you see any areas of cooperation? I mean, in your presentation, it's clearly made in France and no export restrictions by a third country. If I think the Dutch, they have a very stringent export policies. So any collaboration might be hampering that. But do you see any input on the do you see any input from Dutch side, or are you portraying your company as a provider to a bigger company?
My answer will be both, meaning that on the first topic, it would be really interesting for us to work on partnership with Dutch company, for example, to work on specific integration with complementary solution, complementary sensor, in order to provide the customer high added value solution. So it could be, for example, a new specific algorithm, new hardware. So the goal would be for us and for our partnership to improve capabilities of the global solution. This is the first topic. Okay?
That's good to hear.
Okay, and the second topic, for example, at the beginning of the year, we have some exchange with Nedensko and Alexandra. Could be also to work on specific integration. For example, integration of optronic system with specific C2, specific software, specific other sensor or effectors, in order to provide to the customer not only a new added value solution, but also a new complete solution that can answer more than only optronics can answer.
Okay, thank you very much. Clear.
You're welcome.
Are there any other questions from the audience? If not, I would have again a similar question to the one that I asked Charles. Basically, EDIDP, so you're a member of a consortium. Again, how did this happen? Were you approached, or did this come from a business collaboration, or?
So regarding that specific project dedicated on counter UAV application, in fact, we are working for now more than 7 years in partnership with Onewa and Thales Group. And in fact, last year, they are starting in the development of the European consortium focused on counter UAV application, and they ask some key partners, key historical partners, to join them in order to be present as a small and medium-sized company on the global consortium. So in fact, it was quite logic for us to integrate the consortium with them. But also, of course, we have been identified by the French DGR and the French FED. Thanks to other webinars, we have exchanged some information, some presentation. It's quite a long-term process. And at the end, thanks to all the opportunities, so specific partnership, but also dedicated presentation, we are now in place with the consortium. So it's very, very interesting for us.
Okay, good. So it will be interesting to hear the feedback from how the collaboration went on. It's a big, these are big consortia, so always complicated, different nationalities, different mentalities. I mean, I'm not saying that things will go wrong, but it's not an easy task. But it's good to see that this kicked off, and we'll be looking forward to having some feedback after a year or so. So thank you again, Loïc.
You're welcome. The kickoff will be early next year.
Good. Okay. So once some time will pass, we'll be interested in hearing more, and we wish you all the best with the project.
Thanks a lot, Silvia.
So Ron,
yes, great.
The timing is very much respected.
Yes, we are going really efficient, I think, at this moment. Yes. So we're looking now for Mark Jacobs from Optics 11, and the second Dutch company. And sorry, Mark, for the delay. Actually, you were one of the first in the program at first, and then we had to shovel. But see, Mark is still here. Perfect.
I'm still here.
Yes, well, you are an expertise in the fiber optics, and the stage is yours, and really looking forward to your presentation.
Yes, I share my screen.
Mm-hmm. There we go. Perfect.
I think you're able to see it right now. All right.
Yes. Great.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Mark Jacobs. I am the CCO of Optics 11, a fiber sensing company from Amsterdam, and I would like to discuss the next 15 minutes what we do in with fiber sensing in the defense and security market. Yeah, maybe to give a start, like why we even are in this business. Nowadays we see that everything is basically data. Critical processes are running real time, so there's need for this high accuracy data at the right moment. Digital twins, predictive maintenance, Industry 4.0. So we see that there is a trend in the market that there is reliable and meaningful data required for a lot of applications. So what problems are? But there are certain problems in the market that exist when achieving that information. So if you look at state-of-the-art electrical sensing system, they have great performances, but in certain applications they fall short. So, for instance, when the environmental conditions are very critical, or when there's too much EMI, electromagnetic interference. Maintenance, if you install sensors in harsh conditions, they seem not to last very long, or they have at least challenges to face those. Cables, the bulkiness of, for instance, the electronic parts, although they can be small, it is still something that fiber optics can be better at. And also the cost of making those sensors and the cabling to make them suitable for the environment is increasing. So if you look at the fiber optic sensing market, there are a specific set of advantages that we have over existing electric system. So of course I mentioned the immunity of EMI, but also the ability to transport signals over long distances. It's intrinsically safe, so you can apply it in all kind of hazardous environments without risking the way that you can ignite, create an unsafe situation. Sensors are passive, so all the sensors that we are using, they have only a few parts. There's glue, there's some small mechanical parts and some glass inside, but no electronics after the box, and that makes it possible for them to last for a long time. And on top of that, they can be very small. So these are general applicable to all fiber optic sensing systems. If you look for Optics 11, what do we bring to this part? Now, Optics 11 is, as I said, is a fiber optic sensing company, and we focus on high-end sensing applications. And so on the markets that we have available, of like the applications that we have, we try to be the best in performance. Have the best signal to noise, so the highest SNR ratio, and the best reproducibility over time, and that results in the best performance optimization. Basically, we do that with unique technology and strong IP that we've developed over the last 10 years. Because the 11 in Optics 11 is the year where we originated. So this year we had a 10-year anniversary, and basically we try to for our clients that they excel in their operations and therefore stay ahead of the competition. We have several sensing systems that we are unique in. I would like to zoom in today on the defense ones, but just want to mention also the ones that maybe not as defense related. First of all, we have the Optima System, which is a high-end fiber optic acoustic emission sensing system. So basically, you measure ultrasonic signals with just the use of light. One of the presentations already mentioned the ITER project in France. we have been awarded the monitoring of the structural health of the concrete housing of the tokamak. So we're going to, the next 3 years, we will develop radiation-hardened and qualify radiation-hardened acoustic emission sensors to monitor that structure and to make sure that it will stay intact and it can stay operational for tens of years. So that's one of the things that we can do with the Optima system. Another application that we work with is partial discharge detection. So detection of sparks in an electrical high voltage environment. We basically measure the acoustic footprint of a spark and not for instance, the current change. And because we are not dependent on the high voltage level, we can just be part of a 25,000 volts environment without disturbing the product or even be the cause of the spark, of course, because it's non-conducting material. On the top right, we have NovaFast, which is a state-of-the-art fiber brake sensing system, so FBG. FBGs have been around for a long time. So these are point sensing system sensors, but we managed to have the best performance in accuracy and reliability. And I will just come back to that later because we integrate that in our OTADES, the optical towed array detection system, which is a thin line fiber optic hydrophone array, which we use for defense application. So this is a piece of equipment that is able to detect acoustics underwater, and you just drag it behind a platform like a service vessel or a submarine, and listen to what is basically around you. And the unique thing, of course, is in water, so that is a good match with photonics, as there's no electronics in the wet part. It's also significantly smaller than the equivalent in the electric arrays. The electric arrays about this size in diameter, and we have about a garden hose size, about 25 millimeters, which allows us to reel a array inside platform, for instance, a submarine, so you can reel the array inside, which has a lot of advantages, operational advantages that we can achieve, while still maintaining the same performance. And last but not least, you have Delta Sense, which is a Fabry-Perot type of sensing system. So that is basically a type of measurement that that's the most sensitive way of measuring, for instance, vibrations. We are able to multiplex that type of sensor, and therefore can make 3D accelerometers in the size of a dice, which is can be quite interesting for seismic applications in mines, for instance, or other places where you need small fiber optic sensors with high sensitivities. Now, optics in defense. Just a little zoom in into the hydrophone system as we developed it. So it is it consists of an array of sensors that we daisy chain basically. It is a thin form factor with equivalent performance of the conventional arrays. So even if you use it on a surface vessel, it takes less space around to move it around and to deploy it than a conventional array. Next to this, we're also developing a set of non-acoustic new sensors to it, which make this array quite useful for this type of applications. If you look at the applications, like I mentioned, submarines, but also autonomous underwater vehicles is its enabler. Because of the power uses and the size of a fiber optic array, small unmanned submarines can tow this behind the platform and do autonomous missions, basically. And with conventional arrays, it was not possible because of the size. We also deploy it in perimeter sensing, so then you can actually have the hose on the seabed for harbor protection, for instance, and then you can just listen what goes over. You can do diver detection, for instance, to secure a naval base. And then we make use of the the remoteness of fiber optics, so you can deploy this kilometers out of sea and just don't have any reduction in size, basically, of in signal when it gets to the shore. And I want to take you with a small history. How did we got to this system? What I said is a unique new technology. Basically, if it goes a little bit technical, we make a fiber, part of the fiber sensitive to strain. So you have distributed acoustic sensing systems, so DAS. This is quasi-distributed, so only a small part of the fiber is sensitive to strain. And basically, what we do, we measure the distances between two fiber Bragg ratings, so between two reflections inside a fiber, and basically measure very precisely the distance between those two reflections. And the fiber in between these, we roll on a mandrel, basically, which is the hydrophone. And if I mention sensitive, the distance that we measure between those two mirrors is in the femto level region. So that is a 1 with 15 zeros and then a comma. So it's a very small distances, and therefore it's highly suitable for acoustics. We developed this 5 years ago, basically, when we were talking to the MOD, and they had an idea that they want to minimize this. We mentioned this technology, and they want to minimize the arrays. And I thought, can you measure these, make this acoustically working? Yes, we can. So we just made a prototype, as you see on the slide. It's just the first hydrophone that we actually made. So we wrapped the fiber around a cookie jar, and then we played some music with a phone in it, and it actually worked. We are a bit further now, because at the right side you see that they're deploying a fiber optic array of 32 hydrophones in the sea, one of the sea trials. So what makes it now interesting to look at this technology, or why is defense looking into this area? Because of the performance that we can have, basically. It needs to be as good as the existing one, but has, of course, added value in terms of size and in robustness and also cost. So the reliability was one of the things that was the enablers to do this, but also the low drag. So therefore, it can also be interesting in oil and gas industry. If you drag a set of those arrays behind a seismic vessel, 30% of an operation is determined by the gas cost, so the fuel. So if you have a small array, that will significantly reduce the drag. It can be non-metallic as well, intrinsically safe. So you can even combine it with magnetometers if you want to do two type of measurements at the same time. And basically, it's simple and elegant design. So there's limited parts, and therefore just more economical. So the vision that we have, we have a high-end innovative fiber sensing system, and we provide key technology for sonar, so the towed arrays and beyond. In the Netherlands, we have currently a program of running that the submarines are going to be replaced in, I don't know, nobody knows for sure, but it's between 5 and 8 years. And our goal is to be delivering the arrays on that vessel as a first major milestone, and then of course, because we want to grow the company on it, we need to step into other projects as well. As it is a strategic good, sonar, it is one of the opportunities to build a sonar industry in the Netherlands, and that's why also the defense think it's quite they like it to invest in it, because then they're not dependent on other countries in terms of buying this type of strategic goods. I also mentioned that we're now in a phase that we're adding different type of sensors to the array. So one of the things that we are now doing is non-acoustic sensors adding. So I like the conventional one, like temperature. You need pressure, you need heading. Otherwise, the data that you're measuring doesn't make a lot of sense. But we also are developing 2 new concepts. And that one of them is the port Starboard Ambiguity. So if you tow an array behind a vessel and you detect an event, because they're omnidirectional, there's 2 points where actually the event can be, either on port or on starboard. What we are integrating into the array with the delta sense technology is to make particle velocity sensors. So basically determine whether the particles coming from the left or from the right when actually the event is detected, and therefore immediately locate the target that's triggering the array. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that we're going to add shape sensing to the array, because for the data processing, and it is assumed that the array is always straight behind the vessel to do the beam forming and to make sure that you can calculate by triangulation the location. But if the array is not in a straight line, you need to correct for that. And if you know the shape of the array on all the hydrophones, you can do so-called shape corrected beam forming, and therefore follow even when you're doing maneuver, you can still detect your target. So that and that is the FBG technology that I was mentioning in the overview, the NovaFast technology that will be applied to have strain sensors basically on the outside of the array, and in the inside they will compress, and on the outside it will stretch a bit, and therefore you can determine the shape. So what this is an overview, the integration of the fiber optic sensing technologies that we are putting in this application is sonar sensor. That's basically the technology that's driving the hydrophones. So basically a very high sensitive sensing system with the possibility to scale up to hundreds of sensors in a line. We have the Delta Sense technology, which will do the particle velocity sensing and punch the pressure sensors in this array, and the NovaFast, which will allow us to do shape sensing. You see some small animations that you can just bend and stretch a fiber, and you can reprogram that into a model to see what actually the shape is of the fiber. And also you can also do temperature sensing with this. And I already mentioned it earlier, but there's quite a lot of spin-off applications and other opportunities that we look into to see whether this works, or where we can have this added value to deploy fiber optic sensing systems in defense. Flank arrays, which are the arrays on the side, which can be basically equipped with fiber optics. Underwater autonomous vehicles or service vessels can be done. Even we can use active arrays, which that's more with seismic exploration, that they just create a sonic boom underwater and then detect the reflections of that boom, and the security port protection application that you use the array as a static. Basically, you make a frame on the water, or you make an area where you actually detect all the activity in the water. I'm also at a different location. This morning I was in Den Helder at the submarine base. So I had to kind of arrange a place where I can do this webinar, because I was on a submarine this morning taking some. And not also a picture, but we're also talking with the defense to do some field trials now with the current class, basically, and to see whether we can take the next level in further maturizing this technology. So I thought this, because I had to wait a little bit, I just added this slide at the end while the others were presenting. So that was basically my presentation about what we can do, what we can offer in the defense industry for fiber optics. I can imagine there's maybe some questions. I saw some familiar faces in the audience as well, but please let me know if you want to comment on this.
Thank you very much, Mark. It was an interesting presentation. Always nice to see a picture at the end, like you just mentioned. And are there any questions for Mark at this moment?
Mark, I just have, as a person, as a French representative, assure us these are not Australian submarines.
No, this is a Dutch one.
No, just a joke.
I don't want to make a joke, but I'm not sure how sensitive it is, so I don't.
Okay, so any questions from the audience? No, but I have one question. Now this is a serious one. Are you working with? I mean, do you have contacts with the Naval Group, since they are one of the biggest manufacturers of submarines? Or do you have any contacts with France at all?
It is an interesting question that you asked. Like, of course, we don't have the ambition that we directly supply to the wharf. So you have to talk to the sonar players that actually integrate the whole sonar suite in, for instance, submarine. So, for instance, there are conversations going with all the big players on that area to see who sees also the added value for this. And of course, also political, as you already mentioned, with the Australian and the US part. That's the same. That, of course, with replacing the Walrus class, there's 3 consortia at the moment that still are bidding for this. At the end, I don't really we don't have a preference who's going to be it, as long as our system is on it. But for sure, yeah, we are talking to them and to see. Especially from the we start from the operational point of view, so that the final client is basically asking they want to have this, and then see how we can bring along in this journey with us to see where actually can make it happen. Okay. But also for export potential, because I'm also talking to some other players in France, for instance, that not for defense application, but have other that it is like this thin line arrays. And they see the potential of this technology. Like for us as a company, the Walrus class will be nice, but that's just 4, 5, 6, maybe 10 arrays, but it's not something we can build a company on. So we need to have further traction into the market. So therefore, we are also looking into other applications or other partners, also in France, to see whether that we can work together.
Okay, good, thank you.
Yes, great. Yes, I also had that question. If you have specific things you're looking for in the French market, perhaps you would like to us to help you with that. Just let us know, and maybe Dziga knows companies in France that can do this or have the same issues. Or yeah,
it's always good to think about it. Yes, I do have some French contacts, so maybe get in touch with you, Dziga, to further discuss it.
Sure,
it's always nice. Yeah. Okay, thank you very much, Mark. It was an interesting presentation. It's nice to see this combination of presentations and abilities that's in France and the Netherlands, and see how photonics is playing an important role in this. Maybe there's general questions to the speakers or any of that matter.
I think it was quite extensive, the presentations. So
yes.
Again, if you have any questions, don't hesitate afterwards. You have the email contacts of the speakers in the chat. Presentations will be sent out afterwards. The replay will be available.
Yes.
And as we said, I already mentioned, we still have, and I'm happy to see that after an hour and a half, there are still 20 participants. We have Thierry Bertou from Cilios and Alain Duget from Symmetry. These are 2 companies. Unfortunately, we had a limited time slot, so not everybody could present, but as I said, we're happy to welcome you in the south of France. In a period where the weather will be warm, although we have 300 days of sun. So, but from October to end of January, it's not the best period. But in any case, we'll be happy, to welcome you in the south, organize visits of companies, more of them, and we can meet in person. So I think this can be foreseen I would say in the second half of 2022. The situation hopefully will stay as it is, under control, and we can take it from there on. And people meeting in person, it's good to meet online, but I think we all agree it's even nicer and more efficient to meet offline in person. So you're always welcome, Ron, Photonics NL, and all of your members in the south of France.
Great, Dziga. Perfect. Good to know. And yes, hopefully we can do that in the next year to have this application kind of visits to you and your partners or members, etc. Really cool. Yeah. So I think this is a great start with the webinar, but not the best. Of course, it cannot compete with face-to-face. So let's give it a continuation. And yeah, okay. Then I would like to thank all the speakers and participants here today. And any questions you can always send to us. The presentations will be shared indeed. And yes, looking forward to the next meeting.
Exactly. So also thank you from my side to all the speakers, participants, and looking forward to seeing you face to face, as Ron said it. So have a good afternoon, and then if you have any questions, don't hesitate reaching out to us.
Thank you very much, Iga, and thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Have a good one.
See you next time then.
See you next time. Bye.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.